So I'm now going to hand over to Mr. Ray Bibby from Standard Bank. He's the Provincial Franchising Specialist, Business Clients, Eastern Cape. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay, so I'd like to start to just say thank you and allowing us the opportunity to present today. I think it was a good introduction with Maria, where she gave the very important part in terms of the legalities in terms of franchising, because a lot of people overlook it. They think that running the business is important and getting it going, but the legality in terms of what's required, what documentation is required is so very important, as well as that business plan. I mean, everybody seems to be giving that business plan to a business advisor, and it's not a good idea. It's a good idea for them to put it together to make it professional, but you need to know the content of that document to make it a working document. Also, the inputs in terms of your cash flows and how the numbers stack up. That is important, that you have access to that you have input to that, as opposed to somebody that is a chartered accountant or a financial advisor putting it together. So I think that thank you for that, Maria. It's important just to note that for us. Okay, so I'm going to start with my presentation. I'll look after franchising for Standard Bank. My name is Ray Bibby. Our area stretches. Just let me know if my screen is changing, because I can't see from my side. Is it changing?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so what we're going to be looking at is just a brief meaning of the word franchising and what it entails. We're also going to look at just the franchising sector in South Africa. We're going to talk about the sectors that we look at from a Standard Bank point of view. I'm just going to introduce you briefly to the Standard Bank team. Why franchising and why Standard Bank franchising. So those are the agenda items that I'd like to cover. So let's get started. A lot of people might not know this, might not know this, but what does a franchise mean? It is a joint venture between a franchisor and a franchisee. The franchisor is normally the original business, and what we as a bank like to see is that when that franchisor starts a franchise operation, that he must have owned a few franchisees franchise outlets before he actually gets and convert into a franchise operation. The franchisee must buy into the right to sell the franchise goods and service under an existing business model and trade. The main purpose of a franchisee is the franchisor uses the power of the franchising to build customer loyalty. If we look at a normal sort of restaurant versus a franchise operation, you'd like to go to an operation that is tried and tested, where there's a manual, where, even if I give you an example in terms of the, let's say the Steers operation, they've got a manual that tells you exactly how to make a burger. So the importance of that is the fact that, you could save a lot of money by just following the manual. Okay, just in terms of the franchise landscape in South Africa, that's the landscape. You can see there's a lot of franchises in our country. There's 813 brands in the country. There's 18 subsectors, estimated stores of 48,000 stores, and it employs a lot of people, so 211,000 people. So you can see it's a very important part of the market. I just want to kill that. And then the nice part of it is 90% of that is homegrown franchisees. And the estimated turnover is 734 billion rand, which is a big industry. You can also see where the biggest portion of the market sits. If you look at that, this little graph over here, you can see the fast food and the restaurant industry makes up a big portion of it, as well as retailing. And then the fuel industry is also a big component of that. Just in terms of the sectors that we focus on as Standard Bank, we look at the fuel industry. So there's oil majors, non-branded as well. We look at automotive as a sector. We look at retail, the food, and the real estate. Those are the areas we're really focusing on, making sure we grow that market. In terms of just the head office structure for Standard Bank, so we've got Andre Beck as the head of franchising in Johannesburg, and then we've got 4 sector heads. We got fuel, who looks after, Sami looks after that section, Sami Pillay, and he looks after those brands, Caltex, Shell, Total, BP, Sasol and Engine, as well as the smaller brands, the up-and-coming smaller brands. And in the food industry, we've just lost our staff member there, but basically she looked after famous brands, Barcelos, McDonald's, Kawi, KFC, Chicken Licken, and then Chanel looks after our retail sector for Spar, Pick n Pay, Ultra Liquor, Cash Converters, Cash Crusaders, and then Aslam looks after the automotive industry, as well as OK, the local choice, OBC, Postnet, Sorbet, and Mica. In from a provincial point of view, I'm based in Port Elizabeth, so that's me over there. So let me just put the point on. That's me over there. I look after the Eastern Cape, and we've got similar people around the country. We've got 12 provincial franchise specialists. Okay, just why franchising? I think it's important for us to just explore this. Standard Bank, as I said, has we focus on the automotive, the fuel, the food, and the retail sector. The reason why franchising is important is because it's a proven system. You know, there's a manual. People have experienced losses and have built on the concept of having a franchise. And I think we don't, if you start, go into a franchise, you don't have to go through the same mistakes that other people have made because of getting into business. There's a lot of support that's built in terms of a franchise operation. They also look at buying power, so it's important that they buy right, so that benefit can be downloaded into the franchisee space, and then obviously for the retailer as well. And then the brand recognition, I think it's important. We all like to know, buy from companies that is branded, because I think there's some good lessons to be learned from that. And it's not the once off. So the stores need to be kept relevant all the time. So I think from a banking perspective, it's good for us because we could finance that operation from the time it starts, from its infancy to the time that it generally runs for 5 years or so. Then it has to be just dollied up, because I think everybody wants to go to a nice looking operation as opposed to going something that looks like a dump. And then, as consumers, we all like trying new and fresh places, and then the revamp's got to be done every 5 years. So it's an ongoing spend. But I think if you buy into the concept, it is good for you as a franchisee. Why Standard Bank? It's because we've got specialists in our field. There's a dedicated group of people that looks after franchising around the country, both at the provincial head office level, as well as as a provincial side. The other important thing for us is that we've got a credit team that is based in Port Elizabeth, that's got a mandate of 100 million rand, as opposed to some of the other banks that's got to go to a head office environment, let's say Joburg or Cape Town, where they've got to get permission for a deal. We do those deals in the province. The good part about that is that if there's a problem with the deal, we can tell our credit people, get into the car and go and see that business, and we can do it within the same day. I think the other important part is that we own 31% of the market share. So I think that's important, because then it means customers want to bank with our institution. We also the biggest bank in the country, which means SA businesses trust our brand. Our brand is very strong, and in the top 10, if you can look at this little graph at the bottom, this was a rating. It was done not so long ago. And you can see Standard Bank sits at number 3 in terms of the 10 most valuable African brands in 2023. Euro announced Standard Bank. Money announced Standard Bank in 2023 as the Africa's best bank, the best bank in South Africa, best investment bank in Mozambique, and Africa's best bank for wealth management. that is going now for the eighth year in a row. I think in the past year, if we look at in terms of franchising, we paid out 1.7 billion rand in terms of new lending to our customers and to new customers. And locally, we've paid out 220 million rand, which is a phenomenal amount. This year, we're heading probably to exceed that as well. And then another important thing is in terms of how long it takes to actually put a deal together. We do anything between 7 and 14 days to get an approval to you. That is important because time is of the essence when you're running a business. I'll give you an example of a deal that we did not so long ago. The clients purchased a spa business for 25 million rand. They went to their own bankers, which the one was, I'm not going to mention the competitors' names, but they went to the bank in November last year. By end of January, they got a response from that bank. The spa group then came to Standard Bank and asked us to have a look at the deal at the end of January, because the offer to the client was not quite smooth sailing. It wasn't easy. It was a difficult sort of put together transaction. We got that information on the 28th of Jan, and by the 6th of February, we were able to give them an answer that they were totally blown away with. So I think that's important, that you also get some sort of a deal that is structured, that is suitable for you, as opposed to something that is just off the shelf kind of product. Just in terms of our performance, so you can see from this little graph here, we've paid out for the year to date. Now we've paid out 148 million for this province, and we paid out over 1 billion rand in terms of new lending. So just to give you the fact that we're very involved in this market at the moment. In terms of the Eastern Cape, we've grown our asset book from 328 million to 409 million. Again, 24% growth in terms of asset growth. Asset growth meaning whatever money we lend out to our clients, and then our investment book is also very healthy. The advantage of franchising, the business assistance received from franchisors, that's very important. Training is important, as the previous speaker mentioned. It is important that the guys get training in the industry that they're involved in. Turnkey operations also very important. So when you go into a business, you're not going to be trying to put everything together. It's put together for you, and you pay the fee to make that happen. It's tried and tested, as I said before. Brand recognition, well-known versus a new business. That's very important. Lower failure rates than a solo business. So if you're gonna be doing something that's unbranded, you're probably going to find generally between 6 and 12 months it fails because people don't know that business. And in the buying power, the fact that the franchisor can go out there and buy stock for your business at a better price than you can probably get it for. There's a lower risk when opening a franchise, and then a built-in custom base. New business must find their own customers, whereas if it's a franchise business, you've still got to find your customers, but they more tend to come to you because it's a known brand in terms of the franchisor. And the other obvious advantage is that your own boss, and you can make this thing happen for you the way you see it going forward. These are the documentations that we normally would require. And to the previous speaker, what he mentioned about the fact about a business plan, it is so important that you understand what goes into that business plan. It mustn't be a sort of a financial advisor's idea of what the business should be. Because sometimes financial advisors and guys putting these documents together, they get paid by the fact that the loan gets approved. So sometimes they would dolly the business plan up to make it happen, which is not always the truth. So these are some of the documentation that we need. The other important one that I'd like to maybe just dwell on is a lot of people don't understand the reason why there's an own contribution that is required, not just from the franchisor, but also from the banks. And I just want to elaborate on that. The real reason for that is to get skin in the game from everybody that gets involved in business, so that there's some commitment as well, so that you don't just saying if something goes wrong with this business, it is the bank's problem, or the financier's problem, as opposed to you losing nothing and you walk away as if nothing happened. So that's very important, that you actually put some money on the table, making sure that this business can work. I'm not going to go through all the documentation. I will provide a copy of this presentation, so I won't go through that. Just some trends in the market at the moment. These are new things, and maybe for our entrepreneurs, that's this is something happening in Joburg at the moment, where you can actually get your fuel tank filled up at your house, at your convenience, or at your business. The guy walks around with a swipe card, and then it gets he fills your car, or he fills your diesel tanks, and he brings you the merchant device, and you pay him for that. Very important changes, and I think it will actually work in our the sector that we're talking about at the moment. Another nice little picture. If we look up when we grew up as youngsters, a filling station was a place where you could buy fuel. What is now changing in terms of that landscape is very different. I mean, you buy everything, and sometimes you might decide to buy fuel. But there's a car wash. There's you buy your food there, the quick foods. There's in Joburg, for instance, they've got a drive-through to buy gas. So that you've never seen from a filling station's forecourt. So I think that's a very big change in terms of the dynamics of our world. I think that's me. There's my contact details. I look after franchising, as I said, for the Eastern Cape area, and that runs from Umtata right through into Uniondale, and on the other side on Craddock and Middelburg. Thanks for the opportunity.